how do you see the landscape changing as a result of the Supreme Court? And you know, do you believe that we're going to achieve marriage equality through some kind of federal legislation, possibly, or through the piecemeal state by state?
Right. So it's important to understand, first of all, that the strategy that brought us to this week of victory and transformation and momentum is the very same strategy we continue to need to follow and will follow to deliver the full victory we seek. We're not done. We have plenty of work left to do. But the strategy is a working strategy. So to be quick about it, the strategy that Freedom to Marry has followed from the beginning is to say, how do we achieve full legal equality in civil rights causes like this in the United States? And the answer is, in our system, the way we do that is ultimately the Supreme Court brings the country to national resolution. But that doesn't come at the beginning, and it doesn't come through a magic wand. It comes after you have created what you need to create in order to get the Supreme Court to do it. And what you need to create in the United States is a critical mass of states and a critical mass of public support that together create the climate that encourages the justices and other decision makers to do the right thing. So the whole strategy has always been about, ultimately, we're going to get this when the Supreme Court finishes the job. And we need to, in order to make that happen, win states, win over hearts and minds. And of course, you also have to have the right justices. You have to have the right people in place. And that's where politics also comes in. So that's the strategy that got us to this point. It's the strategy that is going to get us to victory. And I believe that victory will come within years rather than decades. The Supreme Court got interracial marriage wrong before it got it right. This week, the Supreme Court did two really important things for us, but didn't finish the job. We're going to build, we're going to get this campaign to continue, we're going to get these states, we're going to get this public opinion, and we're going to go back at the right time to the Supreme Court again in a matter of years. The two big things the Supreme Court did do right this week were, number one, the Supreme Court struck down the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, the federal law that said that even if you're legally married, we will discriminate against you if you're gay. And under that federal law, even gay couples who are married have been deprived of the 1,138 plus federal protections and responsibilities that come with marriage. Things like Social Security or immigration protections or family medical leave or access to health care. All of that changed this week when the Supreme Court turned the federal government from being the #1 discriminator against our families to now being on the side of those families, and we can talk more about that. The second big thing that changed was the Supreme Court rejected an attempt to overturn the trial court ruling that struck down Proposition 8. And the effect of that is to restore the freedom to marry in California. With the restoration of the freedom to marry in California, marriages began yesterday, that means that now almost a third of the American people live in a state where gay people have the freedom to marry. It's over 100 million people. Of course, that also means 200 plus million people live in states where we don't yet have the freedom to marry, and 37 states where we don't yet have the freedom to marry. But we now have about a third of the country living in a place where gay people can marry, up from 0 a decade ago. That's momentum, and it's that momentum we're going to turn into this winning strategy to finish the job.